The two candidates for the Labour leadership went head-to-head last night in the first hustings event, and Jeremy Corbyn and Owen Smith weren't holding back.
What I don't understand is how you can complain about disunity in the party when you and others are the ones who resigned from the shadow cabinet at the very point when we could have taken it to them.
Jeremy, I'm not having that because you know, Jeremy, that I wasn't part of any coup in the Labour Party. No. I didn't resign from the shadow cabinet on that Sunday.
So how is this bitter leadership battle going down with the Labour faithful here in Northern Ireland, where the party isn't even represented at the polls? Boyd Black is Secretary of the Labour Party in Northern Ireland. Phil Kelly is an Executive Committee member. You're both very welcome to the programme. Boyd, they certainly slugged it out last night. Jeremy Corbyn even at one point saying, we can't have this sort of ugly dialogue in the Labour Party. We're like ferrets fighting in a sack. Was it hard to watch for you?
Well, no, it was actually quite a good debate. Unfortunately, my streaming device went non-functional in the middle of it all.
But despite the technology, as a Labour supporter, to see what's being played out in public, eminent Labour officials and one of them obviously being the party leader, tearing themselves apart.
Well, I think it's very tragic, actually, and obviously, as a party, we don't want that, and I think the divisions within the party are one of the reasons why we've gone down in the opinion polls, because the public want to see a united party, and I think that's what we have to be aiming at. We've got to get back on track. We've got to resolve this dispute, and certainly it's produced a lot of interest locally. Our membership has increased from 300 members a year ago to 3,000 members today, so we're up by a factor of 10. Political argument actually engages the public, so it's not all bad. And Phil, presumably you would say that membership leap in Northern Ireland is because of Jeremy Corbyn's popularity.
Well, absolutely. I mean, not just here in Northern Ireland, but the Labour Party is now the biggest socialist party in Europe in terms of membership, and that is down to Jeremy Corbyn. It's because if you watch the debate, I think what you see clearly is one man stands for principles and policies that resonate with people who feel disengaged with politics, and one man is essentially a weathercock politician. I mean, Owen Smith changes his principles and his policies as the Irish weather changes. He's a man that sort of stands on shifting ground, and that doesn't resonate with the public. They're
and yet
fed
he
up
says he has much in common with Jeremy Corbyn.
Yes, I mean,
they agree on most things.
He repeatedly said last night, I agree with Jeremy, but you need to question that. His voting record in the past, the policies that he supported in the past don't resonate that. He's pretending to be on the left of the party to gain a leadership, but he doesn't have the kind of sincerity or integrity that Jeremy Corbyn has, a man who's lived these principles. I mean, Owen Smith's an ex-Pfizer lobbyist now posing as a Bevanite. It doesn't wash with people.
Boyd, you're speaking in a personal capacity this morning. Who are you supporting, Corbyn or Smith?
Well, not really either candidate, I think, at this point in time.
Surely you're sitting on the fence. You need to have a position in a debate as passionate as this one.
Plenty of time. Well, yes, Jeremy is very principled in many respects, but when it comes to us here in Northern Ireland, while he says that he wants to democratise public life from the ground up, and when he said last night that the Labour Party must be inclusive and must bring in men and women and ethnic minorities and Jews, he mentioned, I think, specifically, and everyone else. When it comes to us here, he adamantly refuses to let us run candidates. So we're not included in the Labour Party. And when he says he's principled, it's not apparent to us that he's principled when it comes to applying democracy in Northern Ireland.
Do you think he's electable?
Well, nobody can predict elections, but I think there is a danger that he appeals very strongly to a lot of the membership, and he may well win this election. And the danger is that his appeal doesn't go broad enough, and that when it would come to a general election, and there may well be a general election in the next year, if Theresa May decides she will take advantage of the divide in the Labour Party, I would be afraid that Jeremy won't do well. That's, if one looks back at the history of general elections, it's very difficult for parties from the left of centre to get elected unless they have a broad support across the country.
Phil, this is the crux of the thing, isn't it? Because what we're seeing played out on our television screens now at these hustings events and what's to come before the 24th of September is evidence, some people would say, that the Labour Party can't deliver a shadow government in waiting.
I disagree entirely, and I think, the kind of argument Boyd makes, I think, doesn't recognise the new political reality that we're seeing, not just in the UK, not just in Ireland, but across Europe. And if you look at this idea that you only win from the centre, well, that's not being played out globally, because what we're seeing is a challenge to this kind of dull centrist politics, which has created many of the problems. So if you look at parties like Irish Labour, who were decimated at the last election in the Republic because they governed from the right, they implemented austerity. So it's no good campaigning from the left and governing from the right. People are looking for profound changes.
But Labour is not doing well in the polls. Corbyn's popularity, his ratings are as poor as many a Labour leader has been.
I disagree, because if you look at Corbyn, there's been a 4% swing in every election that he's contested overall on average. Okay, so he is winning elections, and that's with the albatross of the Parliamentary Labour Party hanging around his neck. You talk about winning from the left. The SNP wore the clothes of old Labour and won massively in Scotland, so you can win. There's the problem with this kind of dull centrist politics is it's disengaged so much of the electorate. We need a much bolder, much more ambitious.
The Tory party is in turmoil. If the Labour Party can't make a definitive impression now, how could they possibly, Boyd?
Well, I agree with that. At this point in time, we ought to be 15 points ahead in the opinion polls. Instead, we're 14 points behind. So we're in a very serious situation, and there is little sign at the present time that Jeremy is capable of turning that around.
Is Owen Smith then the man to turn it around?
Well,
where do you go from here?
Well, Owen Smith has only appeared in the scene in the last few weeks. I hadn't heard of him before 2 or 3 weeks ago. So
he's an opportunist, a weathercock politician.
Obviously, he has been in the shadow cabinet, so he is a senior member of the party. But it remains to be seen what his policies are. It remains to be seen if he is capable of giving the sort of leadership that could win a general election. I'm keeping an open mind in that, and we'll see. I have questions about a lot of his policies, but it may be that he shows leadership qualities that I'm afraid Jeremy hasn't shown so far.
Phil,
Boyd can sit uncomfortably on the fence and he can pick the splinters out in September. The people aren't sitting on the fence are all the major trade unions, the 80% of constituency Labour Party branches who have nominated Jeremy Corbyn, the overwhelming number of the 550,000 members of the Labour Party who have joined the surge in membership, and the thousands of people turning up at Brighton, Liverpool, major cities throughout the UK, inspired by a political message that resonates. So those people aren't sitting on the fence.
80% of the Parliamentary Labour Party don't support him.
80% of the constituency Labour parties who have nominated a favoured candidate for leader have nominated Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah, but they're not in elected positions that have to support the leader and deliver a government
And I think what you'll find is once constituency Labour Party branches can meet again, I think there's going to be serious questions asked by members of a lot of the members of Parliament and their conduct over this coup.
OK, people texting in as we're discussing this live this morning. The text number 81771 if you want to join in. Re the Labour Party. I joined the party recently to save the Labour Party from Corbyn, says Graham in Belfast. He does not care for party politics. He prefers a movement which will have no impact unless it is on the streets. I am with Boyd. Phil, you might want to reply to that one.
Yeah, I would say that Jeremy Corbyn actually represents millions of people in the UK, not millionaires as previous politicians. Also, Owen Smith speaks from a script. Jeremy Corbyn speaks from the heart. If you're looking for a politician who says what he means and means what he says, it's Jeremy Corbyn, not someone like Owen Smith.
Last word to Boyd.
Well, the issue is can we have a Labour Party whose leader is capable of winning a general election? This is not Spain. This is not Podemos. We're not under. It's a first past the post election. You've got to get 50% of the vote, and Jeremy is very popular among the membership, among a lot of people. He's got a lot of fresh ideas, but all the evidence is that he can't deliver a Labour government. And without a Labour government, nothing in Northern Ireland will change. All the problems that we have will be unresolved if we don't have a Labour government. And it's not enough just to keep your pure principles.
Boyd, one quick point. Has this, listening to you two, the potential to split the party here in Northern Ireland?
I don't think so, and I hope not. I mean...
Absolutely not.
We haven't said a word against each other.
No, the membership here locally has surged, and it's surged because people are looking for a real political alternative. That won't change.
OK, Phil and Boyd, thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you very much.